like every law, every institution in Nigeria, we have very good laws, which are subject to good implementation. I mean, when I say good here, I mean sincere implementation of these laws. So the Naiti law also falls within this. The Naiti law falls within this category. You know, we have the laws there which should eventually bring succor to the people. I'm talking about the citizens of Nigeria. However, you know, for some reasons, you just find that these laws are not really being implemented the way they should.
What should be the problem? What do you think is
The problem is most of the time they will say poor funding, they will say, in fact, a lot of other problems. You know, like in Nigeria now, I am thinking Naiti is not really accessible to the common people. Maybe because they work with rules and regulations, they work with the laws guiding them. Perhaps that is what is preventing them to actually penetrate the communities. But however, I still think Naiti should employ these civil society organizations that are working there, you know, they should work in concert with them so that this will be the bridge between Naiti and the people. For example, in Ogun State, Nigeria now, I work there. I cannot say specifically that this is what I have been doing with Naiti. You know, I expect a stronger engagement with the CSOs. CSOs, not the ones in Abuja. CSOs in the states. CSO, you know, CBOs. These are the people that work directly with the people. That is what I have seen. Net Zero 2060 is not a big deal. It is just for the government to, you know, take the bull by the horn and begin to work towards achieving it. You know, the kind of spirit behind the SDGs, let us apply it to the net zero. And you will see what will happen. Nigeria now should be a very active participant in the drive. Why? Because all the essential minerals that we need to pursue the net zero 2060, we have them in Nigeria, particularly lithium. So if we face that area, let's say lithium alone, let us face that area and begin to produce. We will see that even the money that we accrue from that accrues to Nigeria from that mineral alone is enough to develop Nigeria beyond all reasonable doubts. And we can now begin. Well, I must commend the current Minister of Solid Minerals. You know, recently he made some regulations concerning the financial areas of the ministry of the sector, and I think that was a very brave one. And if we apply this to all the other areas of the sector, I think Nigeria can achieve 2060. In fact, before 2060, we can deliver. The most important benefit is that the people will be carried along. They will begin to know exactly what is happening to the wealth that is being derived from their own communities. And of course, it will give a glimmer of hope to them that at least their lives will be better. That is, if they are able to know what exactly the letters, the figures are concerning petroleum, the extractive industry. Let the states come to realize that the Freedom of Information Act is not only for the federal government. It should devolve to the states. It is the only instrument that we have now to actually improve transparency, at the state level, at the local government level. But if the states, many states are still saying Freedom of Information Act is for the federal government, which is not right, because even some courts of law have nullified that impression, through the judgments they have passed, that the Freedom of Information Act belongs to every state in Nigeria, every local government. Let them first of all acknowledge that, so that they will begin to use that as an instrument to promote transparency in their domain. Yes. And about the CSO's involvement, I don't know. There is this belief that the CSOs are antagonists of governments. No, it shouldn't be that way. Government should realize that the CSO are there to do some things that they may not be able to do. These people are within the communities. They are doing their work directly with the people. So they know a lot, which even government officials don't know. For example, government will say, okay, we are sending officers, federal officers, to states to work. Maybe in some offices we have 2 or 3 people. What can they do? What can they do in the whole of a state? So you see that they are that number is grossly depleted. It is insufficient, yes. So, but if they now engage CSOs to work with these people, you will see that things will work. First of all, the CSOs will go and interpret the law to the people, carry them along, mobilize them. And you see, when the people work with government, you achieve results quickly.
The reality is that PIA implementation has started. NNPC has been unbundled. The downstream, midstream, and upstream commissions have been established. Recently, we heard that some of the host fund will be established. I think that what is required is more effective implementation of the PIA, and especially, those areas for host communities, they are implemented, and the actual host community will nominate people into the host fund communities committee, so that they will have benefits. But even beyond the PIA, there are big issues today. The IOCs are divesting from Nigeria. They are selling their investments and moving out of the country. We hope that they are also selling their liabilities, because they've destroyed the environment in the Niger Delta. And there is a need for remediation and restoration of those environments before they leave. So these are big issues that I think both the Nigerian government and the Nigerian people need to deal with. That's why we're advocating for contract transparency. Whenever there is contract transparency, the contracts awarded will be known, the sum will be known, the bill of quantities will be known, and then both citizens and civil society will be able to monitor it. That is the only way that you can guarantee accountability, transparency and accountability in the entire system. At least 4 mechanisms to promote transparency and accountability in financial dealings in contract process in any country. First is internal mechanisms. all procuring entities must have internal mechanisms for procurement, for financial regulations, and for monitoring and evaluation. Second is Parliament. The National Assembly has relevant committees that deals with NNPC and the oil and gas sector. So the oil and gas committee of both the Senate and the House of Representatives have oversight. And then the third are independent institutions, such as the ICPC and EFCC. And then fourth, which you refer to, are now citizens and civil society. At times, the failure of the first three, increases the responsibility on citizens and the media. But there is a limited effort that they can do in order to promote overall transparency and accountability in the entire system. The four mechanisms must operate effectively.
Contract disclosure helps the new EITI attention on domestic resource mobilization. It helps reduce the cost of contracts and make more money available to address issues of development, access to water, health, poverty reduction, and then build a socially harmonious society based on trust. The public can only trust government if government is in a position to address its mounting demands. So, but when you frit away resources by contract inflation, and then draft contracts in a way that developing countries are put in a very terrible disadvantage. The resources are frittered away. You raise money from the extractive industry, but you can't account for it because all of them are embedded in very convoluted contract terms that you can't explain. So the EITI is doing, the EITI process of contract disclosure is timely and is very specific in addressing it. And let me use this opportunity to really congratulate Publish What You Pay for focusing attention on this and then engaging a local civil society organization here in Nigeria who is exposed to these issues and who is also a victim of what these issues, how these issues affect our lives, to carry on this kind of study. For me, that's the best way to go. In the past, you see this kind of assignment given to international consultants that will fly in here, stay in the hotel and write their report, and they don't have anything to lose. So when you travel on a bad road, when you when you are attacked by armed robbers, when you suffer from insecurity, when you don't have access to power, when you don't have access to good road, water, electricity, health, it's a function. It's a function of revenues not accounted for, part of which could be through poorly conceptualized contracts and contract disclosure. When you make contract terms open, the civil society, knowledgeable people within that will scrutinize the contract and raise alarm where necessary. And through that, you are able to provide clarity on what should be done and what should not be done. But when contracts are shrouded in secrecy, that's the easiest way to fritter away government revenue, and without the citizens knowing. And these things are hidden in terms. When you have seen contracts, you see some small letters that are cleverly produced in very little tiny letters. People don't read them. But when the chips are down, all those tiny letters will be interpreted. And you see that each sentence there leads to a lot of revenue loss. So revenue losses to countries that are going and borrowing all over the world from developing countries are all shrouded in this kind of secrecy. So disclose the contract. Let the people interrogate it. Let the people be aware. Those people who are going to benefit from the contract, we interrogate it. If you say you are building a 20-kilometer road with a certain amount of money, the citizens will add one or two together and interrogate it. So the contract disclosure will help revenue growth, job creation, public trust. It will also reduce terrorism financing, money laundering, and awarding jobs that have no relevance to the people. So it's a very timely project, and I'm glad that a local rural-based civil society organization has been asked to handle this assignment. We will, for us in 90, will give all the necessary support.
Gwamnati ya yi mana shine dama mu.
Now what he is saying that their problem with government, now they are the indigent, and together with the government they are saying they want to carry them out of this place to another, and they are the indigent. They have no anywhere to go. So, and there is nothing like hospital, road construction, no water supply, nothing. And this is what is paying them, and they are not happy the way this thing is government are doing with them without assisting them. And they need government to intervene, not to continue disturbing them. Then they have land and other things like land. They have trees. Then they have other things like that, and they don't want us to come and clear their land anyhow without doing important things to them inside their land. Then, and now government are now trying to, to give people the land the way they like without consulting them properly, and they are not even seeing anything that they will benefit for their land, and this is their indigent. And government supposed to know what they have to do, that they will make them to live in peace and harmony.